The early morning light filtered through the lace curtains of their modest ranch-style home in suburban Atlanta, casting long shadows across the hardwood floors. Emily Thompson stood by the sink, her hands mechanically washing the breakfast dishes, the suds swirling down the drain like the fragments of her life. It was a Tuesday, just like any other, or so she told herself. Her husband, David, a respected real estate developer who'd built his firm from a single office to a multi-million-dollar operation, had already left for the day. He'd pecked her on the forehead, mumbled something about a site inspection, and vanished out the door with his briefcase in hand. But Emily couldn't shake the chill that had settled in her bones. For months now, the late nights at meetings, the password-protected phone he guarded like a secret vault, the way he'd pull away when she reached for him in bed, it all whispered of something rotten beneath their picture-perfect facade. 22 years of marriage, a daughter in college, shared dreams of retiring to the Georgia coast. Was it all slipping away? She dried her hands on a dish towel, her mind replaying the small anomalies that had piled up like unpaid bills. The faint scent of unfamiliar perfume on his collar last week. The way he'd smile at his screen when he thought she wasn't looking. Emily wasn't one to confront without proof. In her Vietnamese-American upbringing, silence had always been her shield, a way to endure until the storm passed. But endurance had its limits. That afternoon, as she sorted through the laundry basket in their walk-in closet, her fingers brushed against a small slip of paper in the pocket of David's tailored blazer. She pulled it out, a receipt from the upscale Regency Hotel downtown, time-stamped for a Friday evening business dinner. 2 cocktails, a shared appetizer, and a room charge for one night. Her breath caught. At the bottom, a smudged imprint of red lipstick, as if someone had pressed their lips to the edge in a careless toast. Emily's knees buckled. She sank to the floor, clutching the paper like it was a venomous snake. This wasn't imagination. This was evidence, cold and irrefutable. Staring at her reflection in the full-length mirror across the room, Emily saw a woman worn down by years of quiet sacrifices, giving up her teaching career to support David's ambitions, hosting endless client dinners with a forced smile, burying her own dreams in the soil of their family garden. Her parents had immigrated from Vietnam, teaching her that family was sacred. That betrayal was a wound to be borne with dignity. Not rage. But dignity felt hollow now. She tucked the receipt into a hidden compartment of her jewelry box, her pulse thundering in her ears. No tears came. Instead, a quiet resolve hardened in her chest, like clay baking in the sun. That evening, David returned home reeking of aftershave that wasn't his usual brand. His tie askew. "Rough day at the office," he grunted, collapsing onto the couch without meeting her eyes. Emily nodded, serving him dinner on autopilot. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. He waved her off. "Just tired." As he scrolled through his phone, she watched him, memorizing every flicker of deceit. The seed of vengeance had taken root, fed by the silent agony of knowing she was no longer enough. Over the next few days, Emily maintained the illusion of normalcy. She waved to the neighbors from the driveway, volunteered at the community center like always, even baked David's favorite peach cobbler. But behind closed doors, her world shifted into strategy. She started small, checking the odometer on his SUV after he claimed a short errand, reviewing their joint credit card statements for anomalies. A charge here for lingerie she never received. A florist there for roses that never arrived home. Each discovery twisted the knife deeper. But she didn't lash out. In her culture's quiet wisdom, revenge wasn't a scream, it was a whisper, building until it echoed like thunder. One night, after David snored beside her, She crept to his study and rifled through his desk drawers. There, beneath a stack of contracts, was a burner phone. Unlocked. Foolishly, her fingers flew across the screen, messages to Lena, his young assistant at the firm. Miss you already. She's clueless. Can't wait for our getaway. Emily's vision blurred. Not with tears, but with a red-hot fury that simmered just below the surface. Lena, the bubbly intern-turned-employee with the perfect smile and ambitions as sharp as her heels. Barely out of college. Younger than their daughter. How long had this poison been seeping into their lives? She snapped photos of the texts with her own phone, then returned the device exactly as she'd found it. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was a dismantling of her identity, reducing her to a footnote in David's story. But Emily refused to be erased. That Friday, David announced a networking event out of town. She smiled, packed his overnight bag with care. Drive safe, she murmured, kissing his cheek. As his taillights faded down the street, she grabbed her keys and followed, her heart a drumbeat of anticipation and dread. Staying discreet in her unassuming sedan, she tailed him to a boutique inn on the outskirts of the city. Parking in the shadows across the road, she waited. Soon, a sleek convertible pulled up, and out stepped Lena, radiant in a silk dress that screamed affair. David emerged from the lobby, pulling her into a deep kiss under the street lamp, no hesitation, no glance over his shoulder. Emily's grip on the steering wheel turned her knuckles white. Click. Click. Her phone captured it all, the evidence stacking like bricks in a wall she'd built around him. In that moment, the pain crystallized into purpose. He had chosen this path, and now she'd make him pay the toll. The following morning, Emily served David coffee with steady hands, though her mind replayed the scene like a nightmare on loop. He sauntered in, humming tunelessly, oblivious. How was the event? She asked, her voice a mask of calm. Productive, he replied curtly. Sipping without thanks. She slid the receipt across the counter. Found this in your jacket. His face paled for a split second before he laughed it off. Old client meeting. Why are you digging through my stuff? Emily held his gaze. Because I saw you with her. He rolled his eyes, the gaslighting effortless. You're paranoid. Always overreacting. Lena's just helping with a project. The word stung like salt in an open wound, paranoid. Overreacting. The same dismissals he'd used for years to silence her doubts. In Vietnamese folklore, the betrayed wife endures in shadows. But Emily felt a cultural echo, the quiet strength of ancestors who'd survived wars and loss through cunning. Not confrontation. She nodded, feigning defeat. Maybe I am. As he left, smug in his victory, she whispered to the empty kitchen. Not for long. From that day, Emily's silence became her armor. She opened a secret bank account at a credit union across town, transferring small amounts from her personal savings, funds from her late mother's inheritance, untouched until now. She consulted a divorce attorney named Carla Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina powerhouse known for dismantling manipulative spouses in court. He's setting you up, Carla warned, reviewing the photos and texts. Gaslighters like him file first, paint you as unstable to grab assets. Emily's throat tightened at the thought of losing their home, their daughter's tuition fund, her dignity in a courtroom battle. Then we strike harder, she replied, her voice steel. Over the weeks, she documented everything, installed a discreet app to mirror his phone calls, hid a voice recorder in the living room clock. She even created a fake social media profile, Mia Tran, a fictional freelance designer from California, and friend Lena online. playing the role of a kindred spirit. Emily drew out confessions. Lena believed David was practically divorced, that Emily was clingy and dramatic, holding him back from true happiness. The revelations piled up, each one a deeper cut. David wasn't just cheating, he was siphoning funds from their joint investments into hidden accounts, funding lavish dates and gifts for Lena. One evening, rifling through his briefcase while he showered, Emily found a file marked Transition Plan, Divorce Papers and Draft, listing her as emotionally volatile and claiming primary custody. Her hands shook. This wasn't abandonment. It was annihilation. Family honor, so central to her heritage, demanded she protect what was hers, not with violence, but with intellect. She copied it all, backing up to an encrypted drive. But the real blow came when Mia messaged Lena about her recent glow. Pregnant, Lena confided. David's thrilled. Says it's the fresh start he needs. Emily stared at the screen, the world tilting. A child, permanent proof of his betrayal. A new family rising from the ashes of hers. The psychological toll hit like a wave. Nights of insomnia. The constant hum of anxiety. The erosion of self-worth. Yet, in that darkness, her resolve sharpened. Revenge would come. But at what cost to her soul? Emily's facade held firm. Affectionate dinners. Weekend outings where she laughed at his stale jokes. But inwardly, the tension coiled tighter. Through Mia, she arranged a casual meetup with Lena at a trendy coffee shop in Midtown. Arriving incognito with a scarf and sunglasses, Emily watched Lena enter youthful, confident, a subtle swell under her blouse. They chatted like old friends, work woes, self-care routines. Then Emily steered the conversation. This guy you're seeing sounds serious. Lena beamed. He's filing soon. His wife's toxic. Always manipulating with tears. Emily's blood boiled. But she kept her cool, recording every word on her hidden app. Lena spilled timelines. David planned to serve papers next month, after securing assets. As they parted, Emily's mask cracked in the car, silent sobs racking her body. The betrayal's weight was crushing. But so was the isolation. The cultural expectation to suffer alone. Then came the financial ambush. A bank alert pinged $82,000 withdrawn from their savings. David had emptied it, leaving her stranded. Panic surged. But Emily channeled it into action. With Carla's help, she filed emergency motions, asset freezes, a temporary restraining order citing emotional abuse. She anonymously tipped the IRS about David's tax dodges, falsified deductions, offshore stashes she'd uncovered. The noose tightened. Days later, David exploded at her door, violating the order. "What have you done?" he bellowed through the glass. Emily recorded it all. "Paid our debts," she replied evenly. His rage was the first crack in his armor. Hers was the silent storm building to eruption. "Kayla, wait." Lena appeared on Emily's doorstep one rainy evening, tears streaming, hand on her belly. "I didn't know the truth," she sobbed. "He said you were the monster." Emily stiffened, but saw her own pain mirrored, another woman ensnared in lies. They talked for hours over herbal tea, unearthing David's web of deceit, more affairs, more manipulations. A fragile alliance formed, born of shared trauma. "His firm's gala is next week," Emily said. "Let's expose him." They plotted meticulously. Emily compiled fraud evidence. Lena snuck in a rigged slideshow. At the event, amid champagne and accolades, the screen lit up mid-speech, emails, texts, financial scams, abuse clips. The room gasped, investors recoiled. David stammered. "Fake. But the damage was done. Board members stormed out. Authorities alerted. The fallout was swift. Brutal. Divorce proceedings awarded Emily the house. Assets. Custody rights. David lost his firm. Faced IRS audits. Reduced to an entry-level job at a rival agency Emily quietly acquired with settlement funds. Lena, now a co-parent in waiting, joined Emily in founding Silent Strength, a support network for betrayed women, channeling pain into purpose. But victory tasted bittersweet. The psychological scars lingered, trust shattered. Innocence lost. Emily stood on her porch one starlit night. Lena beside her. Was it worth the darkness? Lena asked. Emily gazed at the horizon. He stole our light. We reclaimed it together. But the silence. It echoes forever.